Tafsir.
Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end? Pursuing the higher aim, learning the meaning of every page. Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end?
Another addition to your Islamic education, Cautionary Tafsir, Healing and Governance, the Transformative Path of Saba As-Tiwal, written by Dr. Kareem Abu Zaid. Join Ustada Layla Nashiba every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m., streaming all major platforms, channel Sunnahfollowers.
Tonight we'll be continuing with the third chapter of this book, okay, which is covering Surat al-Baqarah, how the Surat al-Baqarah is a compass for finding direction and purpose, because the fitra of the heart is trying to find its way back to Allah, because before the soul was blown, before your soul was blown into the womb of your mother, the soul was kept in a place where Allah keeps all the souls. It's been there since the creation of Adam. We were there since the creation of Adam. Our souls were in existence, and it knew nothing but the truth. It knew nothing but submittance to Allah. It wasn't until our souls were put into the womb of our mothers and we became a part of this world. It wasn't until we became a part of this world, okay, that the soul became in the state that it's in now, which is criminal, attracted to everything that's bad and dirty, because the fitra is no longer a part of the soul. The fitra has now attached to a part that it didn't exist before. That's why you ain't no rebirth. Because the fitra is now attached to a part that didn't exist before, which is the heart. And the fitra is trying to find its way back to Allah. So Surat al-Baqarah becomes a compass for finding direction back to Allah. Surat al-Baqarah reminds the fitra, it reminds the soul of what the soul forgot, what the soul doesn't remember, because the soul and the fitra, the soul doesn't remember nothing about what happened before it was put into the womb of its mother. Your soul, my soul, we don't remember nothing about our existence before we were blown into our mother's womb. We don't remember anything. Nothing about our lives before we were placed. And we're going to cover all that when we do our book on the souls of the dead, which is another masterpiece put together by Dr. Kareem Abu Zaid. Make sure you guys buy that book, The Souls of the Dead. That can be purchased on Amazon too. That book is $19.99. Make sure you buy it, because we'll be starting that book in 2 weeks, inshallah. We're working on the jingle now. Okay? Before our souls were put in the womb of our mother, we were kept somewhere else up there with Allah, and we don't remember nothing about our existence there. Thanks to Adam, okay, because Adam forgot that he gave 40 years of his life to David alayhi salam. Remember, we went over all of that. We went over all of that in this class. Since Adam forgot that, that's why we forget. We can't remember things, because our father forgot. He forgot that he gave 40 years of his life to David, because when he saw David's soul, his soul stood out over all the rest of us. It was brighter than the rest of our souls, and he fell in love with that soul. And he said, "Oh Allah, whose soul is that?" Allah said, that's your son David's soul. He said, well, give him 40 years of my life. And then when Allah sent the angel of death to take Adam's soul, he said, no, I got 40 years. And the angel of death said, no, remember you gave 40 years to David. No, I don't remember that. So ever since then, that's why we inherited forgetfulness. We don't remember things. We forget because our father Adam forgot. That hadith is authentic. That hadith is Sahih Muslim and Bukhari. We went over that. All right. So that's why man is forgetful. We inherited that from our father, Adam, alayhi salam. All right. So we forget. The soul doesn't remember nothing about its existence, our existence before we came in this world. That's why you ain't no revert. You're a convert to this religion. All right. But the fitra, it doesn't remember nothing, but it's trying to find its way back to where it came from. Surat al-Baqarah becomes a compass in helping us to do that. It helps us find our direction back. It helps us find the truth, because that's what the fitra is seeking. It helps us submit to the will of Allah, to remember our purpose. That's what we've been discussing in these first 30 verses of this chapter. So let's continue on. But first, let me ask you 2 questions just to see if you can remember. From what we covered in these first 30 verses, we learned which of the following about Adam's plight here, about ourselves. Did we learn that as humans, we are easily tempted by the world around us? Or did we learn that we are all vulnerable to the world around us? Or did we learn that we must be aware of the world around us? Or did we learn all of the above about ourselves from studying the case of Adam, alayhi salam? Those first 30 verses of Surat al-Baqarah, do they tell us which of those? Do they tell us that as humans, we are easily tempted by the world around us? Or do those first 30 verses tell us that we are vulnerable to this world around us? Or do they tell us that we must be aware of the world around us? Or all of the above? What do you guys think in Zoom?
All of the above.
Good job. Everybody got it right. They got it right on Facebook. They got it right on YouTube and my Zoom room too. Good job. New Shahadas in the Zoom room of Amatulas are on Facebook. She's typing on Facebook. Good job. Also, I'm on Rumble too to see you type if you're on there. Good job. Everybody got it right. We learned all of that. When Allah put Adam, alayhi salam, on earth, we learned that from his plight, his story, that we're tempted by this world. This world is a temptation for us. So we have to be cautious of this world around us. We're vulnerable here. Be aware of this world. Okay? Second question. Also from the story of Adam, we learn that our actions and the choices that we make in this world, they define our obedience to Allah. Is that statement true or false? Is it true or false that our actions and our choices define our obedience to Allah? Is that statement true or false?
True.
Okay, they said true in my Zoom. What do they say in your Zoom, Amatula? And what do you guys say on Facebook, YouTube, and the other platforms? True or false? Our actions and choices define or determine our obedience to Allah. True or false? Good job. True. That's true. Look at your actions. Look at how you're living your life. The way you're living your life. The choices that you're making in life determine if you're obeying Allah. If you're choosing to smoke cigarettes and you're smoking cigarettes, that's action and that's your choice. That's showing that you're not obeying Allah. The fact that you've chosen to smoke and you're doing it, that shows you're not a person in obedience. The fact that you wear hijab and you're covering your bosom. You're wearing your khimar the way I'm wearing mine over your bosom, like Allah commands us to wear. That shows that you are in obedience to Allah. Exactly. The fact that you're a man and you're growing a beard, that's a choice you made. And the fact that you're doing it, that shows that you are in obedience. So this statement is true. Our actions and our choices define what we are. Remember, we talked about this surah, this chapter of the Quran starts off with Allah classifying us into 3 categories. Either you are a believer, or you are a hypocrite, or you are an unbeliever. You don't have to tell me what you are. Your choices, your actions define you. How you're living your life. The actions, the choices you make in your life define you. You guys get it? The fact that you are living your life obeying Allah. You're living your life doing what Allah commands. Yes, tell me right there. Oh, that's a good person. Inshallah. Inshallah. Because, you know, you could be a hypocrite. Hypocrites hide. They put on the actions. They pretend, but then they go behind closed doors and do all kind of stuff. So it appears that person might be a believer. You could be a hypocrite. So even then, we don't know for sure. But we can say it appears that that person's okay. Okay. Good job. So let's continue this narrative. We had the last time we met for this class, which was Monday or Tuesday, I think. We talked about we gave the narrative of Adam. We talked about what happens when you live your life obeying Allah, doing what Allah commands you to do. You live the life of a believer. Today, we're going to give the other side of the coin. Remember, we talked about a hypocrite. Is a hypocrite a believer, guys? What is a hypocrite? Is a hypocrite a believer, or is a hypocrite something else? What is a hypocrite?
Believer.
What is it?
Unbeliever.
Yes, a hypocrite is an unbeliever. And an unbeliever is an unbeliever. So we're going to give the other side of the coin. We talked about what happens when you live your life as a believer, obeying Allah. Now today we're going to give the narrative of the unbeliever and the pretenders, because the hypocrites are unbelievers too. What happens if you live your life disobeying Allah? And the example that Dr. Kareem Abu Zayd puts together, which is based on the verses that Allah uses, is the children of Israel. Let me make this larger so I can see too. Okay, and again, for those of you on Bigo, make sure that you open up a tab on your cell phone to YouTube so you can see my PowerPoint. Okay, I don't want y'all sitting here just looking at my face, you know. Open up a tab on your cell phone and your iPads to YouTube and go to my channel, Sunnahfollowers, and click on the live stream so that you can see the PowerPoint. Feel free to take screenshots too. And don't forget, you can put it on a big screen TV too. If you got a big screen TV at home, go to YouTube and put it on channel Sunnahfollowers so the kids can see and the kids can learn. So yeah, let's look at verses 40. We went up to 39 the other Monday. Now we're going to start at verse 40. When you look at Surat al-Baqarah, Allah then goes to the example of the next category, the category of the unbelievers and the hypocrites, because hypocrites are unbelievers too. And he uses as an example, in this case, the children of Israel. The children of Israel presents a cautionary model that serves as a critical reflection for Muslims who are seeking direction and purpose. Your fitra is seeking the truth. Your fitra is seeking submittance to the will of Allah. And it's living in a world where religious principles are overshadowed by secular norms, by unreligious norms, such as LGBTQ, such as having a girlfriend, that it's okay for men and women to be friends. Remember, there's no male friends. We don't have boyfriends. We don't have, there's no communication in Islam between a woman and a man who are not closely related. I can't have any male friends in Islam. Me and Dr. Jamali, for example, we work together here on Sunnahfollowers, but we are not personal friends. He cannot call me on the phone just to hold conversations with me. When he calls me on the phone, his wife is sitting right next to him. When he calls me on the phone, I put him on loudspeaker. And the women, the old ladies in my Zoom room are right here as witnesses. There's never me and Jamali one-on-one on WhatsApp. I've never FaceTimed Dr. Jamali on WhatsApp. He's never talked to me one-on-one. He's never talked to me without a witness of his wife. She's always there in the background. Salam alaikum, Habibati. Always. Or, hold on for a minute. Anissa, Sabrine, on my Zoom room. We don't have relationships, guys. And I want my new shahadas to understand that. You sisters cannot have personal friendships with men. This is not Islam. That's what's meant by secular norms for the sister in Norway. That's normal in this society for women and men to go out to dinner together, to talk on the phone together, to FaceTime each other, to call each other. Hey, what's up? How you doing, sis? How you feel? Hey, call me tonight. We don't do that in Islam. So that's what's meant by secular norms, non-Islamic norms. So your fitra, you know, it's hard. It's overshadowed because the people will look at you like you're crazy. They'll say, what's wrong with you? You don't have friends with men? What do you mean you don't talk to men? Are you gay or something wrong with you? So, you know, here in this verse, verses 40 through 123 of Surat al-Baqarah, in verses 40 through 123 of this chapter of the Qur'an, chapter Baqarah, Allah presents a cautionary model for us that will cause us to reflect upon, you know, because we become, you know, we feel like, oh, wow, everybody else is doing it. Well, in this model, Allah highlights the pitfalls of disobeying him and falling for that crap. Okay, and we're going to take a look at it right now. Let's look at verse number 55. In verse number 55, Allah reinforces the importance of believing in him. And he talks about how the children of Israel, you know, they claimed they believed in him, but they didn't. They demanded to visibly see him. They told him that they wanted to see Allah as proof of his existence. When they did this, this reflected a deficiency within themselves, a deficiency and a deep disconnection from the essence of their faith. They claimed that they believed in the unseen, but they really didn't. And that's just like what happens today. You know, we claim that we believe in Allah, that we believe in the unseen, you know, but in reality, we don't. We claim that we believe that Allah knows everything, that Allah sees everything, but you still messaging men on social media, sisters. You still on a cell phone. You still talking to men on a cell phone. You WhatsApping and FaceTiming brothers who are not your husbands, who are not your brother, your father, who are not related to you. You're FaceTiming them, laughing with them, talking to them like, but you say that you believe that Allah sees everything. If you believe that Allah sees everything, then why are you doing that? Y'all get it? You sisters get it? New shahadas, am I making sense to you? Okay. Also, another example, verses 97 through 98 of this chapter. The children of Israel, they cannot stand the angel Jibril alayhi salam. They have a deep hatred towards the angel Jibril. They claim to believe in Allah's angels, but they hate him. They like Michael, but they do not like the angel Jibril. So this symbolizes the rejection of heavenly guidance. And this type of attitude is similar to how we got Muslims today who dismiss the spiritual aspects of our existence in favor of materialistic things. Okay? How many of us put our love for the life of this world, for money? How many times has Allah said in the Qur'an? How many hadiths have our prophet said about how it's forbidden in Islam for a Muslim to inherit from a non-Muslim? It's forbidden in Islam for a non-Muslim to inherit from a Muslim. But how many of you, I hear y'all talking, or I'll go to your Facebook pages. Your mother died. Your father died. They were not Muslim, but you inherited $25, $30, $40, $50,000 from them, even though you knew it was haram. But see, money, 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 money. Your love for money. I ain't turning down no money. I ain't turning down no money. The same thing. No different than the children of Israel. No different than them. You claim that you believe in Allah. You claim that you have love for him, but you're going to disobey him. Your love for money is greater than your love for Allah. When you know that you were not supposed to inherit that money from your non-Muslim relatives, but you wasn't going to turn it down. What you say? I ain't crazy. I ain't going to turn down no $50,000. Y'all see that? Put you to the test. What does Allah say? He says, that's because you say you believe in me is not enough. I'm going to test you. And I'm going to test you with the things you love the most. Money. He knows what your strengths are, and he knows what your weaknesses are. Allah is going to test us with everything that we love, our children, our money, our property. So I'm going to offer you, see if you're going to take that $50,000 when you know it's haram. Oh yeah, many of you take it and y'all put it on your Facebook pages and brag about it. All the way to the bank. See how you're going to be bragging about it in your grave. All right. Also, Allah tells us in verses 78 and 79 of this chapter, he uses the example of how the children of Israel denied Allah and showed how they disbelieved in him in regards to his books, his sacred books, the Torah, and the Injil, how they distorted those books, how they distorted his divine guidance for their personal or political gain. This cautionary example against manipulating religious teachings to fit contemporary agendas, including the distortion of the meaning of the Qur'an by this nation to make the message of Islam more palatable. That's happening today. Like, I listen to these brothers, these famous speakers, some of them here in America today, who say that they can tweak the Qur'an. You're going to tweak the Qur'an and say that Muslim women don't have to draw their veils over their bosoms if they're working as professional women, that they don't have to wear loose abayas if they're working as professional women, that they can make their abayas tight-fitting and even put belts around them. How you're going to tweak the Qur'an and say that the women and men can even free mix, you know, they can be loose in their interactions with each other. And now you got a fatwa out saying that in a professional setting, that it's okay for the women and men to even shake hands. Oh yeah, that's another one now. They can even shake hands in a professional setting, because if they don't shake hands, they might not be able to find a job because it's a cultural exchange. Where did Allah say that a man can shake hands with a woman in a cultural setting? So this is happening today, distorting the meaning of the Qur'an to make the message of Islam more palatable to the disbelievers and to themselves. Okay, this is happening today. The prophet said that we would do the same thing that the people of the book did. Twist the Qur'an around, you know, to suit our own personal and political agendas. Okay? Also in this chapter, Surat al-Baqarah, verses 87, Allah uses the example of how the children of Israel denied and persecuted the prophets that Allah sent. This underscores the dangers of turning away from those sent to guide humanity. And today this serves as a reminder as to how we're supposed to honor and follow the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everyone who was born after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is obligated to follow him. Subhanallah, anyone who dies upon a way other than his. Also in verses 111, Allah also tells us how the children of Israel, they showed their denial by denying the day of judgment. This incorrect belief that salvation on the day of judgment is exclusive to only a specific group. This reflects a misguided sense of superiority, and it urges Muslims to understand that righteousness and faith determine salvation, not mere affiliation. So as you guys can see in this chapter, Allah is showing us, you know, the mistakes that the people before us made, you know, and what not to do, to not do the things that they did that will take us out of belief in him. And then look at this one. They denied belief in al-Qadr. And he goes into great detail about this in Surat al-Baqarah, verses 286. And remember, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that every nation of people has its fire worshipers. The fire worshipers of our nation are those people who deny the decree of Allah. There's a lot of Muslims out there who claim to believe in Allah, but they do not believe in his decree. Well, guess what? The children of Israel didn't either. And they proved that in this case of the cow, you know, and we got Muslims today who are like this too. Just like those people said that, well, since whatever we do is evil, we do it because Allah planned for us to do it. We got Muslims today who believe the same thing. How many of you have come upon Muslims who smoke marijuana, who drink alcohol, who fornicate? And when you ask them, why do you drink? Why do you fornicate? Why do you commit the sins you commit? And they'll tell you, Allah decreed for me to do it. Allah wrote for me to do it. So that's why I do it. Okay? Well, guess what? Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, Allah does not charge a soul except with that within its capacity. It will have the consequence of what good it has gained, and it will bear the consequence of what evil it has earned. As Muslims, guys, Allah knows what we will do, but he does not jump in your body and make you do anything. We have free will. Whatever we do, we choose to do it. He just knew what our choices would be. So we can't blame Allah for the choices that we make. Allah tells us that we have to fight to do what's right. Okay? And Allah created us and gave us the ability to fight for the truth, to look for it, search for it, find it, and fight for it. We're supposed to fight for it, not sit there and give in to our desires and say, Allah made me do it. No. Or the devil made me do it. No, you chose to do it. And you did it. Allah just knew you would. So that's weak to sit there and say that you're living your life committing sin and you're going to blame it on Allah, to say that his decree was the reason why you're doing it. No, you're doing it because you chose it. It's just that he knew that you would. So don't blame it on him. Just like you can't blame it on Shaitan, blame it on yourself. So while unfolding the cautionary tales of the children of Israel, the Quran thoughtfully distinguishes the virtuous individuals. It distinguishes those who remain steadfast in their faith and who observe Allah's laws. And it also gives us this narrative of those who choose to disobey Allah. And Allah gives us these stories so we can see what the errors are of those who came before us, and we can strive to make better choices for ourselves, guys. Allah sent prophets. Every prophet came with the same message, and that message was to obey Allah and follow them. And then he sent our prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And our prophet completed the mission of every prophet who came before him and then his own. And now all mankind and jinn that came after him are obligated to follow him alone. And even when Jesus alayhi salam comes back, Jesus is not coming back as a prophet. He will come back as a ruler of the world, and he will reinstate Islam as the religion of the world and the Prophet Muhammad's Sunnah as the example of the world. And he will follow that Sunnah, and so will everyone else. So the tales of the children of Israel remind us today of the importance of adhering to the final revelation brought by the prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and learning from the lessons of these people's experiences and not falling into the same traps and mistakes that they fell into. Okay? And by learning from them, we can protect ourselves, you know, against the mistakes that these people made, and we can choose a path that's in harmony with the truth, which is what the fitra is craving, which is what the fitra is seeking. And in turn, once we find that truth, we can submit to Allah's will, which is what the fitra is after. And that's what Tawheed is all about. Okay? So I'm going to stop right here.